1969. The year we walked on the moon, Woodstock defined a generation, and the Beatles recorded their final album. But while legends were being made, dozens of artists had their brief moment in the spotlight. Then vanished into obscurity. Today, we're counting down the top 10 forgotten one-hit wonders from 1969. Songs that dominated the airwaves for a few magical weeks, then disappeared forever. These aren't the obvious classics. These are the hidden gems you haven't heard in decades. Let's spin back to 1969. Number 10. Steam. Nah Nah, Hey Hey, Kiss Him Goodbye. Starting it off, we have Steam. And here's the twist. Steam wasn't even a real band. This track started as a throwaway B-side, recorded in just 15 minutes. Producer Paul Lika used session musicians and literally made up the band name on the spot. When a radio DJ accidentally played the B-side instead of the intended single, listeners went crazy. The song rocketed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in December 1969, selling over 1 million copies. But since Steam didn't actually exist, there was no follow-up, no tour, no nothing. Today, you'll still hear this at sporting events worldwide. But Steam? They evaporated as quickly as their name suggests. Number 9. Zager and Evans, In the Year 2525. This song takes us to the future. Or at least, the year 2525. Zager and Evans recorded this apocalyptic prophecy in a small Nebraska studio, and it became the most unlikely hit of 1969. With its haunting melody and dystopian lyrics about humanity's destruction through technology, it spent 6 weeks at #1, even knocking the Beatles off the top spot in July. But here's the kicker. Denny Zager and Rick Evans were so spooked by the music industry that they released one more album, it flopped, and they quit music entirely. Zager became a guitar manufacturer, and Evans returned to his job as a police officer. In the year 7510, if God's a coming. One cosmic hit about the distant future. Then they returned to the present and never looked back. Number 8. Oliver. Good Morning Starshine. Oliver brought Broadway to the pop charts with Good Morning Starshine from the musical Hair. Good morning, Starshine. William Oliver Swafford, just Oliver to fans, had a voice like sunshine and a smile to match. His bubblegum interpretation of this psychedelic number peaked at number 3 in August 1969. With its nonsensical glitty-glub gloopy nibby nabby noopy lyrics, it captured the whimsical spirit of the era perfectly. Oliver tried to follow it up with Gene, which had moderate success, but he never recaptured that starshine magic. He continued performing until his death in 2000, but to most people, Oliver remains frozen in that eternal good morning. Number 7. Brooklyn Bridge. Worst That Could Happen. Written by Jimmy Webb, this 11-piece band's orchestral pop sound was massive, literally and figuratively. This heartbreaking ballad tells the story of watching your ex marry someone else, and lead singer Johnny Maestro delivered it with gut-wrenching sincerity. But it's the worst that could happen. It peaked at number 3 in early 1969, but here's the problem. An 11-piece band in the era of solo artists and trios was economically unsustainable. They had a few minor hits, but by 1970, the Brooklyn Bridge had collapsed under its own weight. Maestro went on to perform doo-wop revival shows for decades. But the bridge? That moment had passed. Number 6. The Archies' Sugar Sugar. This is the most successful non-existent band of 1969. The Archies with Sugar Sugar. That's right. This was a cartoon band from the Archie Comics TV show, but the song was all too real. Sugar. Oh, honey, honey. Producer Don Kirshner hired studio musician Ron Dante to voice Archie, and the result was the biggest hit of 1969, spending 4 weeks at number 1. It sold over 6 million copies and became the year's top single. But cartoon bands don't tour, don't do interviews, and can't follow up their success in meaningful ways. The Archies had a few more minor hits, but they remained trapped in their animated world. Ron Dante went on to a successful production career, but nobody knew he was the Archies. The ultimate one-hit wonder paradox. Massive success with complete anonymity. Number 5. Thunderclap Newman. Something in the Air. Produced by The Who's Pete Townshend, this track captured the revolutionary spirit of 1969 perfectly. With its call to action, "We got to get together sooner or later." It reached number 1 in the UK and cracked the US top 40. The band was a strange mix. A teenage guitarist named Jimmy McCulloch, a former postal worker on bass, and a 50-year-old jazz pianist. Townshend assembled them specifically for this project. The problem? They were never really a band. After a disastrous live debut and one more album that went nowhere, Thunderclap Newman was just an echo in the air. McCulloch later joined Wings, but this moment, lightning never struck twice. Number 4. Shocking Blue, Venus. Shocking Blue was from the Netherlands. Led by the incredible Mariska Veras with her long, dark hair and powerful voice,
Well, I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, at your desire.
Shocking Blue created a hypnotic blend of rock and pop that conquered the world. Venus hit number 1 in the US in February 1970, technically just after 69, but it was released and climbing in late 1969. In Europe, they were much bigger, but American audiences never embraced their follow-up singles. Language barriers and the difficulty of touring from Europe to America in that era made it nearly impossible to capitalize on their success. Bananarama would later cover Venus in the 80s, introducing a new generation to the song. But Shocking Blue?
Well, I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, at your desire.
They remained a beautiful one-shot wonder, their goddess ascending once, then returning to the heavens. Number 3. Spiral Staircase. More Today Than Yesterday. Spiral Staircase proved that love grows with more today than yesterday. This Sacramento band's sunshine pop masterpiece peaked at number 12 in early 1969, becoming a wedding standard almost overnight. Pat Upton's sincere delivery of the simple but profound lyric, "I love you more today than yesterday, but not as much as tomorrow,"
Oh, I love you more today than yesterday.
captured hearts everywhere. The song had staying power on oldies radio for decades, but Spiral Staircase? They released follow-ups that barely dented the charts. Internal band conflicts and the pressure of trying to recreate magic tore them apart by 1971. Pat Upton continued performing the song at nostalgia shows until his death in 2013, forever climbing that spiral staircase, always stopping at the same step. Number 2. Bobby Bloom, Montego Bay. This song takes us to the Caribbean with Bobby Bloom's infectious Montego Bay. Though it peaked in 1970 in America, this tropical escape was recorded and released in late 1969. Bloom's upbeat ode to Jamaica peaked at number 8 in the US and became a massive hit worldwide, especially in the UK, where it reached number 3. Bobby Bloom seemed poised for stardom. He was handsome, talented, and had the song that made everyone want to book a vacation. But tragedy struck in 1974 when Bloom died from a gunshot wound at age 28. Officially ruled accidental, but questions remained. Montego Bay lives on as an eternal summer anthem, covered countless times, but Bobby Bloom's career was cut short before he could escape his one-hit wonder status. A bittersweet tropical dream frozen in time. And at number 1, we have the most forgotten hit of 1969, Beginning of the End with Funky Nassau. This funk band created an irresistible groove that celebrated their homeland with an infectious chant, "Nassau's Gone Funky." Released in late 1969, it became a surprise hit in 1971, reaching number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming a funk classic sampled by everyone from Public Enemy to the Beastie Boys. But here's why they top our list. Despite creating one of the funkiest tracks of the era and influencing hip-hop decades later, Beginning of the End never had another charting single. They were too ahead of their time, too geographically isolated, and too funky for mainstream 1969 America to fully embrace. Today, Funky Nassau is a sample library staple, but Beginning of the End? They remain the ultimate one-hit wonder. Massively influential, yet completely forgotten by mainstream audiences. the funkiest footnote in music history. And there you have it. 10 artists who burned bright for one magical moment in 1969, then faded into the grooves of oldies radio obscurity. Which song was your favorite? Do you remember any of these hitting the airwaves? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip back to '69, smash that like button and subscribe for more forgotten music history. Until next time, keep digging through those crates.